All right, so starting out, this is my home. I haven't really shown too much of it in the past, only clips of it, but yeah, it's a little farmstead that we have. It was built like 100 years ago, and you can see someone that actually, we have a picture of when the year that our house was built. It was in 1900, and it was the exact same house, different color, but that tree was non-existent, and now it is a giant, I don't even know how tall. I mean, it's probably, oh gosh, 50 feet? That's gotta be at least 5 stories, maybe? I don't know. Cottonwood tree, and I'm not sure if you can hear the dogs barking, but this is what the shop looks like. All right, well, this is a long overdue shop update, and today I'm gonna kind of do a quick walkthrough around the shop, do some kind of updates of what's been going on, also do some personal updates, and kind of really show a bit more of the behind the scenes stuff that happens, you know. It's not easy trying to build a business, and there's been a lot of really big and important lessons I've learned in the last year here. So yeah, what we can do is I will show kind of all the new stuff that I haven't really brought to light yet. Also, things are going to be changing too, because I'm actually in the process of moving my print shop out here, which like talking about stickers, you know, mold making, all that stuff. That'll be fun going forward. We're gonna go like super in depth. So we got like a pretty solid workflow now, and yeah, it's not all just me. There is a team, you know. It's actually a team of 15, believe it or not. 8 of them are in product development and engineering. And so, yeah, I think what I currently have available is like a sliver. It's like just a scratch of the surface of what's going to be happening in the next couple of years, which I'm super excited about. I'll say this, I'll say it's been hundreds of thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands that's been invested. Over 200, probably closer to 3. So yeah, here we go. So I'm working towards breaking everything into areas. So this is obviously a shipping and receiving area. What I'll do is I've got just all my packaging boxes. I've got boxes down there, little add-on goodies I'll usually keep right in this area. So, you know, screws, cables, every single shipment that I send out, I will include our sticker sheets, which are pretty well liked, and we'll be going more into detail into that very soon. Here I have yet to sort of organize, but these are our latest track maps, which is cool. Those are looking good. And one thing that's pretty cool is actually my label printer, Zebra ZT230. It's thermal transfer. It is a fluorescent yellow, which is just like super close to our turn yellow, which is cool. And then, yeah, just inventory stuff. So BP2s, you know, quick hubs, spacers. This is where I keep the gummies that I'll ship with every box. So, and then this one is kind of just more of the same. So when an order comes in, you know, I'll just grab one of these boxes and fulfill it, print it out, and drop it right here. And then that's UPS pickup. And so this area is gonna kind of be more of the fabrication area. Still gonna be changing pretty soon here because I have a new baby that's gonna be going right in this gear. It's my Formlabs 3L. I have yet to even really show it publicly. I mean, I've maybe shown like Instagram stories and stuff of it, but love that machine. It's pretty much made every other 3D printer obsolete until I get an SLS. But yeah, so this will be kind of like the fabrication area. I'm gonna be moving this computer very shortly. So like if I'm doing any like post-processing on a print, you know, for prototyping or whatever, I can pretty much, you know, yeah, just kind of do the finishing touches, detailed bits as I can. Then I've got the ultrasonic cleaner. And so it's kind of a workflow that I have right now where like for like an SLA print, if I'm prototyping something, there's either the that washing station and curing station, or if it's a big part, I'll use the ultrasonic. And then once it's washed and cured, then I will sand it down, you know, make it look, getting all like the support, you know, bits off of the part. This is kind of where I have all my SLA parts that I had printed. So just for example, like right here, the TDU5 enclosure. And I'd shown a video last year too of prototyping for injection molding, but yeah, you can't beat the quality of a good SLA machine and the accuracy of it. You know, like even the, what is it, SL1S? It's a nice machine, it's super fast, but it's not nearly like as accurate as my Formlabs, which is in the house. But yeah, it's gonna be coming out here. And so we need to kind of just make this whole area like more of a clean space. Yeah, and then just a little side hobby project. I was working on this guitar here. And then this last couple of weeks, I was kind of working on a fun little hobby project, which is this keyboard. Got it bedazzled. And then I need to find a home for this thing here still. So, but yeah, toolbox, you know, all the goodies that you'd expect, power tools, hardware. Yeah, really like this station here. So all of, you know, the handheld and then battery chargers and whatnot, which is nice. And then moving over this way. So this here is going to be where the print shop is going to be. It'll be the sticker production line. And so I'll have the printer, the laminator, the cutter, all in a row so that we can just do, otherwise I have to go back and forth to the house. Yeah, so that way I can just do it all right here. And then the rig, which is always in a state of evolution. So, you know, one thing about wires I'll say is I gave up on trying to be like pretty with wires and hide them. I'm always plugging stuff in and out, which you'll also notice too. That's why everything is on wheels. So even my rig is on wheels. And I was actually looking around the other day, virtually everything that isn't either a rack or, you know, attached to the wall is on wheels. And so just everything can move, which is really nice because I was getting moved around. And yeah, here's the current setup. Not super pretty, but we'll be upgrading that pretty soon here, getting it looking a little better. I'd shown recently too my thermal forming machine. So these are the molds that I print myself in-house, and that way for packaging, we can go through iterations. So this is just 3 iterations of the TDU5 packaging right here, which is pretty cool. And then right now, this station has kind of gotten taken over with printing things, but these 2 are going to be for TDU5 production, which, good news is we have the production boards on the way here. It's the first 10 because it was over a $10,000 order of circuit boards. And so, yeah, obviously wanted to make sure that they're good before we invest $10,000 into them. And but they have all the components on hand for the full run, which is I think the first one's 150. So, yep, that is coming along, which is really exciting. I really need to kind of touch up the BP2 station. Everything's kind of a mess right now, but hey, that's what kind of showing the behind the scenes is. This is just how the shop exists right now. So inventory, you know, I've shown these things before. Hasn't changed too much recently. The rework station and soldering station, which is, I'm thinking I'm gonna actually put a computer here, so then that way I can do the laser etching with the computer right there, because otherwise I literally I've been having to walk back and forth, you know, from that one to this one, which yeah, it'd be just easier to have it all together. Same with the other laser, you know, the other CNC and the 3D printer. You know, what I'm kind of thinking is I'll just have a single workstation for like prototyping. And so then that way, every single one of the, you know, machines will just be hooked up to, you know, one computer on the wall there. And then I'll be able to quickly make whatever I want and then do the finishing touches to it. And yeah, just really getting through iterations is the name of the game. So yeah, that's a quick kind of update walkthrough of the current state of the shop. I will do a shot up here. So it's nothing too crazy. And to continue the evolution, there's a good chance that I'll be in a new shop within the next year. So by the time I actually get a workflow of making, you know, reliable and consistent content in here, I'll have a new shop to start showing off. All right, well, now I'm sitting in the rig because my arm is getting too tired from holding this big gimbal. Still trying to figure that out. But yeah, I figured it'd be a good chance to kind of just sit down and just walk through even the last 2 years a little bit because, yeah, a lot has happened for sure. So I had taken, I mean, there's some people that have kind of followed the journey a little bit, and I had taken the business full-time in 2019, and then in 2020, got married and we moved out here. Spent a good 6 months just getting this shop in here ready. You know, we had to finish the whole shop. You know, we insulated it, got steel on it, heated and cooled, and yeah, getting that ready to even be able to do anything. And then in 2021, took on an angel investor. That was actually a local investor that had seen what we were working on and thought it was pretty cool. Thought it was worth investing in, and you know, seeing some of the projects that I had coming up, and yeah, that has been going really well, because now we're in the process of actually closing a second round, a seed round, which will include the addition of 2 new partners. And so we'll have 4 total, which is pretty crazy, because that means I'm also going to be actually like creating a board of directors. This it's actually this weekend. That's my task for the weekend, is to create the updated operating agreement and board of directors and you know, governance, you know, all that stuff, which yeah, it's self-taught from the start, really. I was freshman dropout of University of Electrical Engineering School because there's no way I was smart enough to complete that. And, I wanted to just start building businesses. So I spent, a good 4 or 5 years, from 19 to 23. I had gone through a handful of jobs. I was basically always working 2 full-time jobs at once. And so I would have, one full-time job to pay the bills, and then I would be trying to start a business, in my spare time, which was like another, full-time gig. And yeah, that was when, I think 2015, I started to really take sim racing serious again. Actually, as a kid, I was really into the Gran Turismo series, and so I'd played every one. I'm pretty sure I'd played every one to like completion, other than like the first one. I was probably too young for that. I'm a millennial, just turned 31, so I really like Gran Turismo 3 was probably like my first like real take into the series. It was with and there'll be some that'll remember it. It was a special PS2 combo. It was Gran Turismo 3 with the PS2, and they had they launched together, and it was super exciting. But yeah, in 2016, as most of you know, but some don't, I wanted to build replica wheels, and so I just really started as a DIYer. Really, I wanted to make the R8 wheel because that was really popular car. It still is, and I had made in a weekend my first wheel. Actually, it was out of wood, and so I just took a scrap, piece of sheet metal and a couple pieces of particle board, and ended up making a steering wheel out of a weekend, just to have something to like hold in my hands, And I posted it on the forums, and like someone was like, "Yeah, I would buy that," and that was like, "Wow, okay." And I had a couple influences too, at the time. It was Sam Maxwell and Leopoldo of Pololo Instruments, and really looked up to them for their work, and wanted to learn how to do it myself. And so just started going down the rabbit hole. And there's a lot of them, a lot of rabbit holes. There's, because it gets into mechanical design, and then there's, production, which is like CNC machining, and then there's, electronics, so electrical and embedded, which is a whole world of itself, embedded software or firmware. And then now, having built a team as well, because it's not just me, like I said before, it's actually really a team of 15 now. And so I still, pay myself really as little as I can possibly get by with, pretty much, and then invest everything else into the business. And so several people that work for me at this point that have made more money, in the last year than I have, but that's not the point of it. So, and then I would say in 2022, I really wanted to, I had to make a decision of where, which direction are we going to go? Am I going to go, remain a small, one-man shop and essentially just be like a bespoke builder, which there's no problem in. I actually think it would probably be more fun at some points because there's a lot of stress with trying to go big. And so, but I really, for me too, I can't stay stagnant doing the same thing. So I have to be learning and evolving nonstop. Otherwise, I just get too bored. And so it's really the perfect role for me because I have to learn a new career, a new field, every couple of months. And right now I'm learning about a lot of back-end development, digital strategy, how to build a factory that can scale, and have spent, months on that, and have gotten really far. I've learned a lot, and it's gonna definitely save us in the long term, but just in the short term, it doesn't really show, the results as much. And I didn't want to post as much because, and even just being honest, this last year has probably been the most stressful of my life, but it has definitely forced me to grow in a lot of ways and also get organized. Part of the reason why I would have never even made it through engineering school is because, I really didn't have just the organizational skills to be able to do that type of stuff. So, kind of going forward though, we're really just on the precipice of pushing out a lot of bigger projects. And so this first one that I've talked quite a bit about it, to date is the TDU-5, which a lot of lessons learned there, even on, project management, product development, life cycle, and so forth. Agile development versus waterfall, learning how to be a scrum master and a product owner. These are all parts of it. And so, I've been able to get a handle on most of those things now, at least. Now, I'm going into a new hardware development project or software development project. I actually know, what to do, how to lead meetings, because, now that I can't do everything, I've had to transition from, being the one-man shop to trying to lead a team of, different personalities and skill sets, and also just recruiting the team. That takes a long time. Have lost tens of thousands from just not having the right team members, at least over 10 for sure. And so, those are all just tuition lessons, in the school of hard knocks. And so they're the best lessons too, because you don't forget them. When it's your own money and you're not paying yourself, and you're basically living on ramen, and you lose, it sticks with you, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future, for sure. So I think the point that we're at now is really transitioning from, being that bespoke shop to having a system of product development, of operations, of content, which we have a team for all of that, and I'm working on, creating that workflow now for each of those departments. And so, I've broken out the company into 7 departments. I tried to have it be hierarchical. So, it's another thing, modeling, the whole world is just different forms of modeling. And so learning how to do that type of stuff, data modeling and whatnot. So, I would say the direction that we're headed now is going to be towards building an actual, production facility. And that's what hopefully our next building will be a bit larger. It'll be in town so that, we can start working even with stuff like the local high school for the robotics program, because even in the US, we have this, it's actually a pretty really big program, national program. It's called the First Robotics, which high school kids from all around the country participate in and build robots that will compete against each other. And so when I was in high school, we had started it for the first, I was part of it for the first year as a junior, and then as a senior, was helping to lead it, and really all of that stuff. Was preparing me for my future and build my own business, because I actually had to find our mentor for the robotics program, and I had to find. We actually had to do the fundraising for it, and so we literally were going around to different businesses around the community and organizations to fundraise to even have the program going, and now 12 years later it's still going. And so it'll be fun to get involved with that again, and then maybe even try to create an apprenticeship program within here, because like I say, there's so many really interesting fields of development and engineering that I'm doing just right here in the shop. So it's would be pretty invaluable experience for you know, any kid that's into that type of stuff. And I mean, especially even just looking at like the rig here, yeah, if you're a high school kid into engineering and gaming, I mean, why not? So the future direction though is really towards having a standardized product lineup and adding value through just a bit different way of thinking about things. And that's going to be something that will start really showing like our philosophy in the coming weeks and months, because that was even a part of the last couple of years is like, you know, trying to, like, we have a good identity, you know, especially in the community, in the DIY community. And I mean, we have a Discord server with over 4,000 people, and that's not, you know, just like bots and stuff, you know, like we purge it all the time and make sure that they're active and that there's value being driven in there. And that's meant to all be for free. You know, it's only meant to make the community larger. You know, that's how I got started, and that's how I found, you know, a lot of people, even with our own team, through that, which is really exciting. But the thing about like the DIY space is that it's too small to really scale. You know, at least for like sim racing. So I mean, you may be able to scale like a DIY business to, you know, I don't know, maybe 1 million. Like if you crushed it, like if there are none that, like right now you'd be lucky to, you know, make a couple 100,000, I think, in revenue in the DIY world for sim racing. But yeah, it would never scale above that. And so, you know, what I wanted to do was really help shape the industry, you know, the direction of it, because there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of marketing that goes on, and a lot of also just kind of fat cats in suits, you know, that think that sim racing is a you know, gold mine and whatnot. Really, what we want to do is solve problems in value-added ways. So, you know, really going forward, actually going back to what I was trying to say earlier about the last year here, part of it was just establishing, you know, who do we want to be as a company? Because I've had to transition from the one-man shop, just kind of, you know, doing cool DIY stuff, to now transitioning to a more executive role where most of my focus is on, you know, strategy, you know, vision setting. Where do I see the industry going? You know, what direction do we want to take it, and so forth. And so as far as the replica stuff, I mean, we may in the future do, you know, that again, have more like have like multiple lines, you know, have like a entry level, mid-range, and a high-end line. I think that's totally cool. I don't really have a problem with that at all. But I think really, rather than just making replica hardware, we have the opportunity to like be able to design and optimize for sim racing. You know, seeing stuff of like simple stuff, like having like a drink button. You know, that's what always my go-to. Like, we don't need to have that type of stuff, you know, in sim racing. We should optimize the hardware for the sim, you know, which is what I did with the BP2. You know, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I was one of the first to have having two 7-ways on the steering wheel. I'm pretty sure I was one of the first to do that, and now it's kind of becoming a trend more and more. And just optimizing it for the sim, but really with the philosophy that I went with this whole ecosystem right here, which it's not currently bolted in. With the, I mean, because with like the Quick Hub, the BP2, the R320, the mag plate, you know, this is sort of like kind of our bread and butter right here. I mean, this is pretty much everything we currently offer. It's meant to actually be as universal as possible. So you can have one of these things or all of them together. They're not meant to lock you down. Like even the shape of the BP2, like the reason that I came up with this shape was I literally had taken probably 20 different steering wheels from the market. I overlaid them, and then I came up with a shape that would fit the most number of steering wheels on the market. And it's the exact same actually with the R305 and the R320. I took every button plate on the market at the time, which is say 2 years ago now when I was designing it, and I overlaid that, and I created a shape that fit the most number of button plates, which just makes it as universal as possible. It doesn't fit everyone because there's always edge cases, but yeah, that is the general strategy, at least for our hardware. And the future stuff coming out is going to be no different. So it's kind of an open secret, I guess, at this point that we're working on one of these bad boys, and that's where a huge investment has gone into. And I'll say that it isn't a iterative improvement from what you see on the market. Sim racing isn't too different from motorsport, which isn't too different from any form of engineering, but everyone just ends up copying each other and then doing iterative improvements, and then over time, as the industry matures, those iterative improvements become just less and less better, and it kind of plateaus a bit, and that's where we're at right now. Well, the project that I'm doing is, they call it a lighthouse project. With a lighthouse project, it's kind of like the breakthrough innovation. Now, what's the next generation of that type of device look like? And that's what I'm working on now. Something that I don't think I've even stated publicly yet, because it was just too early, but the mission statement that turn racing is going to be pushing towards in the future is building plug-and-play sim rigs that are affordable and simple to assemble. And that is the direction that we're going. So there's a lot of groundwork that has to be done to do that. We have to be able to vertically integrate a lot of manufacturing steps, a lot of development steps, make sure that the architecture and infrastructure can even scale, because we have certain numbers and that we think we can hit. Because yeah, building these things is not easy. It's actually a pretty tedious chore. What I like to compare it to is, it's essentially, if someone wanted to get into karting, you're having to build your own kart in order to be able to drive it. And that's the problem that we want to solve. And also, that's just one of the main limiting factors, I think, in the market. Because even if you're a gamer, even if you're into hardware and into racing, for so many, it's just too daunting of a task to build something like this, whether it be too expensive or too much of a time investment, and so they just don't. And yeah, that's what we're going to be looking to solve in the future. And so, like I say, just the steering wheel part of it is just the icing on top of the cake. That was the first place to start, and we're going to be moving towards the whole deal. And that's kind of all I can share for now, but hopefully, some of you thought that was interesting. If so, yeah, let me know kind of what you want to hear more about. Happy to start opening up a bit, because we want to take a very much like community approach. I think we have probably the best community of any other brand that I know, because really what we focus on is just being open, welcoming, honest. If I make a mistake, I'll be the first one to tell you. If it's in the design or whatever, in the production process step, whatever it is, we want to be continually improving as quickly as possible. And at the end of the day, it's innovation rate that actually matters. And so, yeah, I am always happy to have feedback. And like I said, let me know what you guys want to learn more about. The cool thing, I guess, about what I get to do is I've never claimed to be an expert at anything. And so, if I speak or am not kind of, if I'm mansplaining something, that's totally cool with me because, yeah, I don't claim to be a professional in anything. We do have a couple fun series planned too with my wife and I. It'll be like how to explain, you know, sim racing to your wife because, and we might even do a couple of videos of like her explaining, you know, knowing a basic level of what I do, but her explaining what I do because most of the time, if I'm being honest, if I like meet someone, I'll just tell them I work in a machine shop because it's just too difficult to explain otherwise. So yeah, but take care, have a good weekend, and we'll be back.